but it was like the red tail and Teddy like were going for it at the same time. So Teddy and the red tail, and then basically the red tail's feet go up around Teddy's muzzle. Teddy lets go of the squirrel, Teddy lets go of the squirrel, then River grabs the squirrel and kills it and stuff. So my friends were just like watching the whole time. No, it's like, is this how it's supposed to be? And I was like, yeah, they're still gonna catch it, all this stuff, and then just this, chaos happened.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Thank you again so much for joining us for another episode of the Falconry Told podcast, brought to you in part by the fine folks at Marshall Radio Telemetry, the makers of the most carefully engineered and reliable tracking system available. For more info on Marshall's products, head to marshallradio.com. And also the Falconry Fund. The Falconry Fund is a nonprofit organization dedicated to support and protect the various arts and practices of falconry and the cultural and environmental assets that make it possible. The Falconry Fund seeks to become a vital and effective nonprofit charitable organization based in the United States to serve falconers on the North American continent and elsewhere, so that this art and practice may be pursued without undue restriction and free from current or potential threats by incompatible human activity. So if you'd like more information on the Falconry Fund or to donate, head to falconryfund.org. And we'd also like to welcome a new sponsor to the podcast, being North Gen Raptors, and they just want you to know that whether your flight style ranges from long bombing stoops of a falcon to those super hot off-the-glove pursuits of a goshawk, they've got your falconry bird needs covered. They've collected several genetic lines from different species of goshawks, Harris hawks, and falcons, and produce all kinds of different birds. So if you're interested in securing a bird, then head to northgenfalcons.com, where you can find out more information on how to select the bird and submit your deposit. So thank you, North Gen Raptors, for becoming a new sponsor. We appreciate it. And this week's episode brings you all Tyler Rankin, who is the current president of the Kentucky Falconry Association. And he was able to finally connect with me while I was in Lexington this past week working. Drove down and we hung out for the evening and caught up. So without further ado, we will jump into the conversation with Tyler Rankin. Here we go. What's going on, man? It's been a while since I have seen, what was it, NAFA the last time I saw you?
Yeah, November, 2 years ago, yeah.
Has it been already?
Well, it was, the 2019
It
NAFA
was the 2019
We didn't
one.
have a 2020.
Yeah, I was going to say, the 2020, you're exactly right. Yeah, the 2021 obviously was canceled, and I was kind of looking forward to that one a little bit, just because of the international aspect, and would have been a good way to get a bunch of content with people from around the world and stuff in one place. It would have been some low-hanging fruit for sure as far as this kind of stuff goes, but
right.
Of course, it's always nice seeing friends and stuff too. But,
absolutely.
But how's things been with you for your season and everything so far?
Things are actually going really well for me this year. I have 3 birds right now, which I'm really currently only flying one. Basically, I got a imprint kestrel over the summer in around August or so. Didn't really get to full hunting starlings. I got her kind of late, or him late. It was a little male. Got him kind of late. Couldn't get really. It was actually the baggy aspect of getting starlings and stuff, and trying to trap them and everything. I mean, she would go on chicks and sparrows and stuff, but trying to get her hunting. So pretty much October rolls around and it's time to get serious with the bigger birds.
Right.
So I had a chamber raised female Harris. This would have been her second season. I flew her last year. She was a lot of fun. Did rabbits and squirrels with her, and got her ready. Started hunting rabbits with her. I also trapped a passage red tail in October. Mostly, I did that kind of for my wife, and because I had a few issues you were talking about, and I didn't know of, that Harris's aren't very good with dogs sometimes. And I had just gotten a young dog to hunt squirrels with and stuff, and we had some issues there, so I really wanted to get the dog going, so figured the best way to do that, get a red tail and get in the woods with the dog and squirrels and stuff. So
yeah, you're you're less likely, I won't say you're immune, but you're less likely to have those issues with a passage red tail than you are with a chamber Harris, that's for sure.
Well, just I mean the transition, yeah, and going with the chamber Harris, like there's a whole lot of things you kind of got to teach them.
It's any chamber bird,
right? Yeah,
it's they're ignorant to pretty much everything
like
that is
landing in a tree.
Yeah,
and, yeah,
yeah.
I mean, once you get them going, though, I mean, they just they act, and this bird's been great in the field. I mean, she follows great. I mean, she'll go after anything. I mean, it's been a lot of fun with her.
Yeah.
But just there's those little quirks and stuff. But you work through them and
yeah. You work through quirks with every bird you ever fly,
right?
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's an imprint, chamber raise, passage, whatever. I mean, it's that's part of what makes separates the men from the boys, so to speak. Just to use a general,
well, and I could have just given up on the Harris and given her to somebody else, but I did. Yeah, I wanted to keep her. It was her first year. I kind of had to end my season last season earlier just because she had a foot injury. And she just wasn't, chasing much, catching much.
Mm-hmm.
I knew something was up, so she just needed to rest. So I didn't really get that full, season out of her. I wanted to do it again. Over the summer, I put her out with the dog a lot. I would do, jump ups and stuff with the dog, on a leash right there and everything. Finally got him out in a good rabbit field. Got my my dog to actually flush, rabbits in front of the bird, with the bird on my fist, and she would go after him. And they really started working well together this year. So I was really happy about that. That aggression kind of went away. And it was a lot of fun up until beginning of December when she broke her toe. The Harris broke her toe on a squirrel chase. And but good news with that, we got it x-rayed. It was broken beginning of December. Got it x-rayed last Monday, and it's healed now. So
that's good.
Yeah. So she's good. She's high on weight right now, so I'm gonna kind of slowly start dropping her weight and get her on some easy slips, some short hunts and stuff. But in the meantime, I've been flying the passage red tail on squirrels and stuff, and that's been a blast.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's that's what that kind of stuff. Working through those kind of things is obviously a big reason why there's a lot of people that are initially interested in getting into this kind of stuff and then never follow through with it. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the whole separating the men from the boys, the women from the girls, so to speak. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's working through those kind of issues is a big reason why, you find out real quick if it's something that you want to do long term or not. And if you can work through those things and just be prepared to roll with those punches, then you're probably meant to, you're probably cut out to do this kind of stuff. But the people that aren't usually don't last much longer past that first initial hiccup.
Well, and that's just part of growing and developing in the sport. I mean, my first year, like a lot of apprentices, you trap a red tail, you're by yourself, you go hunting, you're beating brush, and it's whether or not you enjoy, getting your ass kicked every day, like just beating through brush and coming back, torn up in thorns and stuff.
Sure.
Then the next thing for me, and what I saw, and in Kentucky, what a lot of people do, you add a dog into the mix, and that's just not like, you just put a dog out there and you just go. I mean, it
takes a lot longer to train a dog than it does a bird.
There's a lot of training. I mean, that does go on. Yeah, you got to watch the dog. You're watching two things now. You're watching the dog. You're watching the bird. You're watching how they interact. I mean, you're getting kind of everybody involved here.
Yep.
But it's. I wouldn't go back after not having a dog. I mean, having a dog in there and in the mix has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. I really wish that. I don't regret having my Vizslas at all. But for where I'm at, I really would have been better off probably getting either a Dachshund or a Decker or something like that, just for our area. But I mean, I'm probably it's either this season. Probably this season, I'm going to start doing stuff that's more conducive to having the dogs out. I mean, like there just really hasn't been a whole lot of use for them the last couple years, and I feel guilty about that a lot. Having that dog, that crappy dog owner.
You want to give them a job, and they want a job too.
Yeah. And so I'm going to try and remedy that some, this season. I think, regardless of whether or not other circumstances work out, but
sure.
But like I said, I understand that a lot of the people that are especially more in the middle to eastern Kentucky, need to have that aid, so to speak. I mean, with a lot of the terrain that you all hunt, it's a lot different even than ours in southern Indiana.
Oh,
stuff,
absolutely.
I mean, there's just a lot more thick stuff and a lot more, I don't know, just it's just different. The terrain's different.
Oh, I mean, Kentucky is so, spread out just as far as, different environments and terrain and everything. I'm up in the northern part of Kentucky, just kind of outskirts of Cincinnati. And, I mean, it's really similar to central eastern Kentucky area. I mean, it's pretty rolling hills. But then at the same time, kind of more of my rabbit fields are a lot more like western Kentucky where, I do go to more industrial type, more urban areas, that kind of development. Type stuff. But yeah, it's I mean, I think the dogs do definitely, I mean, I know some places where, you need a dog. I mean, you get briars that are 8 feet tall and nobody's going to walk through there, but you get to throw a tiny dachshund in there and they'll start flushing out rabbits. It just increases your opportunities for success, really.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got my one Vizsla will get into some pretty thick stuff if I let her, but, But, I mean, like I said, a thicker coated, like more wire haired, I guess, dachshund or something like that probably would have just been a better route had I done things in retrospect.
Well, it's just amazing. Yeah, the dachshunds especially, just like the tiny little holes and spaces they'll fit into. I mean, nowhere. You stick a stick down there, you're not going to flush it, but you stick a dachshund in there, they'll get them out.
Yeah. I found out real quick though that as much fun as I had my first season with my red tail on bunnies, the whole red tail on bunnies thing or just whatever on bunnies wasn't really going to be my thing. I found that out real quick. Like I said, after about the first couple seasons, I knew that, the bunny thing was only going to interest me so far,
right.
So that's kind of why I went the different route.
Yeah.
But, and the Vizslas, they'll point, they'll try to point or they can scent, fur just as well as feather, but the bunnies they don't hold.
Right.
They get within X amount of space within those rabbits they kick up and it's whatever. But yeah, so I guess since you mentioned kind of like your first experience with your first red, I mean, might as well just go ahead and just kind of start talking a little bit about what got you initially interested in the sport and just how you fell into it like everybody else seems to.
Yeah, sure. I got into it, I guess, kind of later. This was really through grad school, but I mean, growing up, I grew up, outskirts of Louisville, Kentucky. We had a 22-acre property out there, so I grew up playing in the creek and riding four-wheelers, stuff like that. I remember, and I just always kind of had this fascination just with animals and wildlife in general. Just either digging in the creek or, I went to zoo camps, all that kind of stuff. I knew that I kind of wanted to become, I wanted to, become more into, environmental science, conservation.
Outdoorsy.
Yeah, exactly. Right. To pursue that. I remember one time walking in the creek, we had a active red tail nest, like right by our creek. And I mean, one time, I just remember, I think I was like 7 or 8 or something like that. Like, the mom up there just like screaming at me one time and then like took a dive and like the last thing I saw was her about like 20 feet away from my face, like just diving right down. And then like after it all happened, I'm like, oh my God, that was the coolest thing ever. Like that was amazing. And just, I don't know, just so I always drew, I was into drawing. I drew animals all the time. Jeff Corwin, Steve Irwin, all that stuff, I think in my high school yearbook, it said in 10 years, I see myself as the next Steve Irwin. So even up through high school and everything, that was just kind of what I wanted to do. So we're in Lexington, Kentucky here. I went to Transylvania University, just right down the road. Got my biology degree down there. A few wildlife biology classes. I was kind of pressured to go there. Just my dad went there, his brother, my cousins were there. It was kind of like a family tradition thing. So I went. I mean, my dad was a doctor. He, did pre-med at Transy. That's kind of what it was like. The biology program was like still geared towards, but I still got my biology degree there. They offered a few wildlife classes. So graduated from college, still knowing I wanted to do wildlife stuff. I had volunteered at the Louisville Zoo, taught classes there during college for the summer camps and stuff. I wanted to get into a wildlife job. I'm like, how is my career? How can I get a wildlife career? Being in Kentucky, working in a zoo. Zoo jobs are hard to come by. You don't just hand them your resume and get hired. You got to volunteer there for years and stuff. But me being out of college, I wanted to quit working in a restaurant. I wanted to start working, kind of get on with my career and stuff. So I did. I worked at a primate rescue center with about 12 chimpanzees and a bunch of monkeys. And it's actually down road about 30 miles from here in Nicholasville, Kentucky.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's kind of a non-profit owned thing. I didn't last there very long.
What, did you get a bunch of crap flung at you?
Yeah, they did, because I was a male. I was the only male who worked. The man who worked there. All the rest were females. So I was kind of like the men. I mean, the male chimps. I mean, they would. Yeah, they didn't like me.
Yeah, territorial.
The females did though. They kind of had. Some had a crush on me. It was. They would do a few funny things, but
that's kind of fitting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting though.
Yeah. No, it was interesting, but then I just basically saw myself. I'm like, I'm taking care of these ladies' monkeys. Like that's what I'm doing. I want to do more. I want to do more, education, kind of like outreach type stuff. So anyways, I ended up getting a job just because I wanted a job with a environmental consulting firm. I mainly worked in the soils lab with civil engineers and stuff, but they also had a group that did, environmental stuff, biological work, endangered species, wetland stream restorations, construction, stuff like that. And I thought that was great. So really talking to a few of the staff there, they're basically like, okay, if you want to do this, go back and get your master's in biology. So, yeah. So I ended up doing that. I went to Eastern Kentucky University, and that's kind of where I got really first introduced to falconry, what I really found out about it. Was never a hunter growing up. I mean, my fascination with wildlife and the outdoors and everything has always been, just from, being out, just hiking, just being outside, playing in the creek, just doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then just learning, getting my degree in ecology and biology and stuff like that. So
I find that interesting because, I wasn't even outdoorsy growing up.
Really?
I had allergies. Like I had literally the worst allergies you could imagine. Like I think for the first 22 years of my life, I couldn't breathe out of my nose.
Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad. I finally ended up getting an allergy test in my early 20s, and literally like everything lit up. Wow. I mean, everything but like 3 different things, so, not only was I not a hunter, I just wasn't outdoorsy at all growing up. Very much. So, I mean, that's the one thing about this particular sport that always interests me with finding out how other people get into it is it's not just a hunter, like a hunter exclusive type thing for people that initially get interested in it.
A lot of people around here were originally hunters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's plenty of people though that weren't, that didn't have a big prior hunting background, or, you're right. I mean, plenty of people do going into this, but I mean, there's so many people that I found out that weren't hunters or didn't really have a big hunting background going into it. And I can't think of too many other things that I'm sure there probably are some other examples of things that you didn't really have to have a background going into it. But I mean, like this is something that seems like there's still a decent amount of people that haven't had that kind of background going into it. And like I said, it's just kind of interesting to hear how those particular people find out about it. Especially because I mean I can relate to that because obviously I didn't have that background either.
Well, yeah, so. I mean, you talk to a bunch of people, and I mean, just from meeting people, I mean, like people with all kinds of interests and backgrounds and stuff. I mean, just basically they all share the common bond of their love of raptors, really. And I mean, that's just kind of what gets everybody into it. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really require that much of a background.
So what exactly did you get your master's in then?
So, kind of continue how I got into falconry. I got it in applied ecology, and this was at Eastern Kentucky University. But basically I did my thesis research I wanted to do it on birds. My mentor or my advisor was he was the ornithologist, the bird guy at the college, and I basically said, I was like, "Would you have, what kind of research project could I do on raptors?" He's like, "Well, just so happened another grad student kind of walked away from this one, but I have some grant money from Kentucky Fish and Wildlife to do a sharp-shinned hawk nest study." And so I jumped all over that. But and this will kind of this kind of go into all the people out in Indiana, but So I did 2 seasons. Just kind of started reading about Sharpie nest locations. Basically, I guess how it all started. Fish and Wildlife wanted to kind of get a good idea of the population of sharp-shinned hawks in the state, and then their nest success and everything. So because they're listed as a species of concern through Kentucky, and because of the special take permits that at the time that falconers were coming in and taking ISs from nests and stuff, so they wanted to see how if they could still hold that program. At the time, there was no limit on people from out of state who could come in and take all that stuff, and take ISs from the nest and everything. So so they relied on me, the grad student, to go out and pretty much turn me loose and say, go find as many active nests in Kentucky as you can.
So basically what you're saying is all the regs that are currently in place are your fault.
There's one that I influenced. There's one, but there's a lot of other stuff that went into it. So anyways, all they gave me I do a lot of work now in GIS, some mapping stuff. I mean, I did research about, where to find them, all that stuff. And they're like, here's a few names of falconers that are willing to help you. And, it was about 8 to 10 falconers. I got in touch with a guy named Eddie Morgan out in Western Kentucky. Mm-hmm. He had a Sharpie pull planned for that summer, invited me out the first summer of my research. And he's like, yeah, we'll take you around to all these nests. Stuff. So basically I was going out there, find the nests, how many eggs, how many hatched, how many fledged, and then going back after that and taking a lot of different, habitat parameters, measuring trees, understory cover, getting an idea of, what kind of habitats they prefer. That way Fish and Wildlife could kind of try to quantify that types of habitats in the state to know really the breeding potential for Sharpies, I guess. Mm-hmm. So I went out with them. It was Eddie Morgan, Mike McDermott was out there. Me having no experience or knowledge of falconry. I was, with these guys that are, giants in the sport at the time. Mm-hmm. Really well-respected guys. They couldn't have been nicer helping me out. Went out there. I went out there with them 2 seasons. Just kind of, going out. They showed me, welcomed me, talked to me kind of about everything, willing to help me out and stuff. Went to Eddie's house for dinner, saw his goshawks and stuff. I didn't get to go out hunting with him or anything, but really that just kind of started my interest. So, anyways, published a study. I didn't find as many nests as I really wanted to, partially because the year before, especially out in Western Kentucky, there was a huge ice storm that just decimated the pine stands out there, and just
that'll do it.
Yeah, that'll do it. And they weren't finding. They had these topo maps they would hand me, and it was 30 nest sites in this one at Land Between the Lakes recreation area. Everywhere. And we would drive around to all these places, and then we went back. When I was doing my research, if I would have gone a year earlier, we would have probably found a whole lot more, but it just weren't finding as many. I found a few in Daniel Boone National Forest on my own, climb those nests, monitor them and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. This was about 10 years ago or so.
That long ago, huh?
Yeah. When I graduated in 2010. Yeah. So, this was 2008 through 2010, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
well, that's kind of definitely a little bit of a different way of getting into it.
I think so. Yeah. Through college, I guess it's, a little bit different.
I guess it wouldn't, and technically wouldn't be considered, uncommon necessarily, but it's still different, as far as, you didn't have that initial inclination of you just liked raptors. You necessarily have the falconry aspect of it in mind, going into it. But as far as then what did you do? Who did you initially get out with, and how did you initially take your steps to get out with people to find a sponsor and all that.
Okay. So I guess after that, after I graduated from EKU, moved up to Northern Kentucky. I got married while I was in grad school. My wife's family lived up in Northern Kentucky. We moved up to Northern Kentucky then, been up there about 10 years now. And on that list that Fish and Wildlife gave me, they basically, well, you're talking about the regs and stuff. I'll jump back to that real quick. They basically limit, like with my study, they limited the number of take that they have in the state this year, or from year to year. I think like a certain number of out-of-state falconers can apply for, special use permits to take, and then in-state, but not a whole lot do it anymore. Not in Kentucky. And it was funny because in my second season, then I went to Indiana with Joe and Mark Herman and everybody, and they're telling me all this stuff like, you got to go do playback surveys in this exact week. This is how you find the nest. I'm like, where were these guys when I was doing my research and stuff? It was amazing just how much they knew and stuff. But
it's like all that work that you did with the grant and everything they did and just put it in the Rousing News or whatever.
No, I'm like, I would have been like 40 miles north. I could have found them and a whole lot different.
And at least now, I guess it can be, depending on what your outlook on it is, it can be either a good or a bad thing, like having a lot more accessibility, to those kind of. But the whole thing is though is you still have to know or have the right resources and just have enough of a baseline knowledge to start.
Which I
seeking out.
Yeah. It was,
Well, I didn't either. I mean, nobody does.
Right. No.
I mean, so, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting though that just a lot of people talk about how hard it used to be and how inaccessible, people used to be just because, no Facebook, no internet, no whatever.
Yeah.
Now all you really got to do is call your state DNR person
they have a list. Our club's got lists. Facebook.
And then all of a sudden you're linked up with potential people that may or may not take you out or whatever.
I mean, still there's places in Kentucky. I mean, there's not a falconer
sure
2 counties over.
Oh
or
yeah,
like
well,
that.
I think it's probably like that for almost every state. I would think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It kind of has to be.
Right.
I would think. But,
sure.
But yeah, I mean, it's just it's interesting how much more accessible everybody is. But you still have to know how to take that first step.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I did, that list that Fish and Wildlife gave me, or I called, our Kentucky Fish and Wildlife will send you like a packet. It just has like the state regs, list of potential sponsors and stuff. And there was a gentleman by me who I had heard of, during my research and stuff. His name's John Darple, and him and his son Kyle were both master falconers up in Northern Kentucky. So I met up with them a few times. I mean, went out with them probably, this was like 2012 or so. Like the season after I got out of grad school. Went out with them. I mean, hunted with them a bunch and stuff. I mean, they were great. Just learned from them. Knew I wasn't really ready to get a bird yet. My first son was born in 2013, so that kind of put stuff on the back burner a little bit. Which is funny because John became my sponsor, but he was also my wife's OBGYN. So we would talk. We would go into like these appointments and stuff, like talking about how our son's developing and stuff. How are the birds doing? Just
that's hilarious, man. No, I laugh because that's the world that I lived in for the first 12 years of my respiratory career.
Okay,
was NICU, and babies, So
I
I laugh because I can only imagine. Like that kind of conversation. I just walking in.
We'd spend like 20 minutes, talking about my wife and her pregnancy and stuff.
Right.
And like the last 10 minutes, me and John would, we'd start talking about birds and stuff.
That's so funny, man.
Yeah. So it was nice. So that was a good way for me to keep in touch with him. But then I think in 2016, I mean, I kept in touch with John and we'd go out and stuff. And then in 2016 is when I finally got my license then. Yeah. So, and then John sponsored me. He was great. And I think, like we were talking about, people without hunting backgrounds and stuff. I mean, because this is a hunting sport.
Sure.
And I mean, really, he was a hunter. I mean, does all kind of, he's got, setters and gun hunts and, does quail, all that stuff. But he really taught me how to, kind of how to set yourself up for success in the field. Because I think a lot of people, without a hunting background are just not really knowing, what you're going for out in the field, I mean, they can kind of get lost. And
I totally agree.
I mean, you can't just throw a bird up in a tree and then run like crazy through a field,
No.
trying to fly. And a rabbit's running away 100 yards away.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of told me how to kind of set up, like, put your bird in that tree over there. We're going to walk over here. We're going to work this way towards the bird. Like, we're going to flush the rabbits that way, kind of thing. And that was huge.
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. Even just learning how to find prey, like just learning how to find those rabbit fields, or learning how to find those patches of woods with lots of squirrels in them, or whatever the case may be,
or just how to work them and stuff.
And how to go about doing an actual hunt and strategically trying to set your bird up for the best slips that it can have success with.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot that even once people start getting into it, until they start getting out in the fields with people, there's a lot that people don't realize goes into all this.
Yeah.
And it's it's not just the bird that's work. It's fine. It's it's the prey and finding all the right setups and doing all the homework on places that you can find slips for your bird. I mean, there's just so much more that goes into it than people realize.
Absolutely.
And so I mean, I completely agree. You got to have a plan,
and you got to, you got to have the right bird. You got to have, and what he always told me is like the biggest hindrance for you is just not going to be finding enough game.
Right.
And that's, because once you stop finding game, everything falls apart.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, if you're out there and you're not flushing game for your bird, they're not seeing anything, then you got no reason to be there.
Yeah. Well, and then eventually your bird's just like, oh, I don't need this guy.
They don't make that connection. Exactly. Yeah.
It's just like, well, what am I doing here?
Right. But if you're going out there, regularly every day, always flushing game, always seeing something, getting the bird engaged, then
dots connect much faster.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. of all the ways to make a falconry connection, like this, your wife's OB, that's hilarious, man. That's definitely one of the funnier. It's just funny to me, I guess. Like I said, just
we had
because
met before,
my
but
background,
we were able to kind of continue that. Like it kind of gave me a reason to keep in touch with him and stuff too. And it's not like we chose him. Like, this OB's into falconry. He'll deliver our baby. Yeah, that guy. No, it's.
Well, yeah. I just had this these scenarios pop through my head of, honey, if you go into labor, we might be able to get one more hunt in. If we just get you in this patch of, it's not too dirty over here. We just go ahead and have them deliver at the same time. I can go ahead and get a squirrel real quick while our boy's coming into the world and whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. I think as our second son was born, because he was the OB for her second pregnancy. Yeah, she. I was at a meet like 2 days before, and I think. I invited my sponsor, but I was like, you're going to be busy Monday. Remember, you got to be back. So
like, don't forget, you got that induction schedule or whatever.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Man. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's, that's why I like having these conversations, just because, we've known each other for almost 2 years now. And it's, like having these conversations, I would never have, heard that story probably otherwise.
Right. Exactly.
But like, as far as, do you foresee yourself like continuing to fly primarily just red tails and Harrises and stuff? Just, are you thinking about eventually trying something else down the road other than the Kestrel?
I definitely will. Yeah, try something else down the road. I think there's there's kind of two ways you can go about it, and a lot of people, and neither approach is wrong, really. You can, if you want to diversify yourself, you try different, species, try different terrain, as long as set yourself up for success, have available game and terrain and everything to fly it in. There's nothing wrong with that. Or I've flown, I guess this red tail I have is my fourth red tail that I've trapped and stuff, and you try different things with them every year, or you learn from each one. I think where I'm at right now, I'm up in northern Kentucky. I don't see myself leaving up there. We have cottontails and squirrels, and that's red tails are the best for that. The Harrises are great too. I think I'll always, I didn't have a red tail last season, but it's been good having this one this year. So it's good to come back to that. And I'm by no means, an expert, squirrel hawker or anything, but it's, I think things are getting better, especially with the dog and, just knowing what I know, just being in the woods and, going out with the bird and stuff. And I mean, so I think it can only really go up from there.
Yeah.
I would like to try a goss sometime. I mean, I've heard different things. A lot of it looks like a lot of fun. I have a few fields like where I could, hunt from the fist. I hunt my Harris from the fist in a few rabbit fields and stuff, and that's a lot of fun. But I mean, I know just from what I've read, and I, need to learn a lot more. But
yeah,
dealing with accipiters and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure you've had me. I'm sure you've heard me have the conversation several times about my just whole take on gosses and stuff. I mean, like, I think like I said, I've said this many times before, but I think my overall opinion on goshawks would just be different if I didn't see a billion of them fly every single year since I got into the sport.
Yeah.
And I've seen the worst of the worst and the
especially
best
where
of the
you're
best.
at, where you're in mowed grass and kick them up in 5 inches of grass and the rabbits just run. I don't know how many times you can really watch that.
yeah. It's just, I think that, I haven't gotten to see it yet. I know there's plenty of guys that have had a large amount of success with like coops on cottontails and stuff. I think stuff like that to me is a lot more appealing than say a goss on bunnies. Mm-hmm. I mean, and once again, I'm going to stress that I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any of that.
No, absolutely.
But
everybody's got their own flavor, really.
It just doesn't tickle my fancy to see a goshawk fly off the fist and get a bunny like 10 to 15 yards away over and 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 over again.
Yeah.
I mean, like, now I will say I would absolutely love to see to go out with someone that's been really successful with goshawks on squirrels. I've said many times recently that I could totally see myself like being interested in flying a goss on squirrels.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I think that would be cool as hell.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But I mean, the whole bunny thing, is just, I mean, the unfortunate thing for me is a lot of my interest lies with long wings, but once again, we're not in the greatest area for smaller long wings, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that down the road I will try and do try and get a goss as well to do on squirrels maybe or something like that. But like I said, I mean, what are your thoughts on some of the other different random species? Or you ever think you might try a different type of accipiter, or other than that, or just any other kind of bird
I want to go experience that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to go see it. I've never seen a peregrine kill a duck before. I've never seen a falcon fly. I've never seen anybody do long wing. There's that whole world that I just know nothing about that I would love to go see. I mean, I really wanted to do a lot of traveling this winter in this season, but just with restrictions
Mother Nature, whether it was manufactured or not, decided to put it.
Yeah. Well, I was supposed to go to Lubbock for a meet, and I was with my mom like the day before. Yeah, she tested positive for COVID, and I was like with her, so I was just like, well, I guess I got to hang back now. Mm-hmm. So, dude, I'm going to go down to the Alabama meet next weekend. I'm going to drive down there. I mean, that's a squirrel hawking meet, so I'm going to bring my birds down there.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then Ohio's got one the weekend after. I'm going to go to that one. But no, I would love to. I mean, I would love to get out west and just see different, types of hawking in different terrains. I mean, not just long wings, but just, how they do it in different areas on different game.
Yeah.
I mean, even if I'm not holding my own bird, that's fine. I mean, I just want to go see it done.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally get it. Like I said, I really wish that I would have gotten more of a chance to. I did get a couple opportunities to get out with with some guys when I was out west, the last couple months or so. But it's like I said, it's, if nothing else, it's interesting to get your hands on these different types of birds and at least learn how to train them, see what their differences in personality are, and your approach and your the line of thinking that you need to take with Falcons versus Hawks.
It's such a huge world out there. I mean, it's just falconry cannot be limited to this one thing you're doing. You're not there's just so much.
Yeah.
Like my wife's into horses, and it's just like, you do horse stuff. I mean, and I've watched her do so many, different things with horses. I mean, it's just like, what kind of horses? I mean, it's just,
I mean, it's completely
can't
different.
narrow it down to one thing.
No, and for personalities like mine, I mean, I really wish that I could just be content sooner rather than later with just be like, okay, I really like that species. I really like this one style of hunting, and that's what I'm just going to specialize in for like the rest of my living days.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish I could be like that right now, but I know I'm not going to be able to.
Yeah.
And there's a part of me that kicks myself because I know that I would be better off just accepting just accepting something and just going with it,
I mean, some people, do that, and then they'll perfect themselves. They do it for 30, 40 years. I mean, I see the red-tailed Harris hawk in the woods, squirrels, rabbits, that's working for me. That's what I'll keep doing at least for the next, 3-4 years or so.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe try something different. I got the kestrel. I'm going to try the kestrel again here this spring on starlings and stuff. That'll be a new experience. So really, like, my season's only like halfway over right now, really.
Right.
So I mean, we'll put the big birds up and get the kestrel out, and so that's kind of my next step there, just to see how that goes. So
you'll have a lot of fun with the kestrel for sure.
No, and it was. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Just the limited time I had with it last season and stuff. But,
I mean, to be 100% honest, I've told a couple of buddies this. I mean, like if they said that, okay, you're no longer allowed to fly anything but kestrels, for like ever. Yeah. Like I would be all right with that.
Really?
Yeah, just me personally, because I mean I like kestrels that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean there's still a lot of different things I want to try and stuff too. It's just like I said, it's I don't know, like the last couple years I've kind of written off as just learning years.
Yeah.
And I knew that what I was trying to do wasn't probably going to bring a whole lot of success, and I mean once again it's just kind of like, well, I just really wanted to learn how to deal with and just kind of check out long wings for a couple years and whatever. And
another older falconer told me I'm kind of in the fanatic stage right now.
Yeah.
Where I've got a Harris, I've got a red tail, I got a kestrel, and I'm just wanting to do it all kind of thing right now.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I think that guys like Jared and yourself and I and other buddies that we have are kind of in to a certain degree too. But I think I'm starting to come out of that a little bit personally.
Well, then you find what you really like.
Yeah.
I mean, you find what you really want to get into.
Yeah.
After that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so this will be your first real season with the whole kestrel thing, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had it. He's just been, up for the winter.
Well, that's why I've talked about it many times before too. But I mean, I personally like, doing the passage or whatever kestrels like a little bit later in the year, and so that you have less time between prime starling time. It would personally drive me nuts to have a kestrel just hanging out for 4 to 6 months or whatever without being able to do a whole lot with him.
Yeah, we'll see how that's really kind of affected him. I mean, I didn't really have much of another choice. But
he'll be all right.
Yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I get him out and he hangs out with us and stuff. So.
Well, we can get you on a lot of. I mean, I'm sure you've got.
Well, that's a whole different world. Now I'm invested. I got tomahawk traps and now like PCP air rifles and all that kind of stuff. That's like a whole new thing you gotta get into, and that's like you think of chamber raised bird and you get an imprint like. This is the thing you need to kill. Like, I mean, convincing the thing, like, convincing a bird to kill something. And that's kind of basically that's where we ended last year.
Yep.
Was I know to kill that tiny bird. Yeah. Now. Yeah. And I'll eat it. Like, that's it.
Well, you need to, at some point this, over the next few months, you need to swing out and, we can get you on plenty of, I mean, just starling slip after starling slip on that.
Yeah. I'm playing, maybe, late March or so. I'm going to come out. Yeah. With Jared, because I want to get my Harris with her broken toe or healed broken toe now on some easy rabbit slips and stuff. Just get her going just for what I got left, and then take the kestrel and have some fun with that.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. It's still the most fun that I've personally had in falconry still to this date. I really wish the Merlin thing would have worked out a little bit better, other than her ending up as an owl pellet or something. You know,
sucks, yeah.
but you know, those are just things that we all,
little bird,
we all just, I mean,
I was
we all run
free
into those
flying my
things.
kestrel, and a passage coop came in and just chased her all over the place. Luckily, she got away, but I could have ended so much differently. That's the thing about flying small birds that are prey.
Yeah,
and also predators.
Same thing happened to my first kestrel. Also, you know, coop actually had her, and you know, managed to scare it off.
Yeah. That's what you get for flying small birds.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you know, once you actually learn how to really fly them and really get going with them, you know, there's this whole other set of issues that you have to deal with. That's really just out of your control. But
that's kind of been the whole learning process for me, just because I've been dealing with these, you know, top of the food chain apex predators before.
Right.
You know, that nothing's going to mess with them.
Yep.
You get a crow that just like screams in their face, and that's about it. But
very true. But well, I mean, just out of curiosity, then, I mean, so far, what has been, you know, I usually like to get at least one good story from someone if they can. You know, it usually puts them on the spot.
Okay.
You know, usually like blank or whatever. But can you think of at least like that like one hunting story or one particular thing that sticks out in your mind so far since you've started into it that really just has made an impression on you? Or
made an impression? I mean, do you want like a funny story or like
either or both?
Serious? I got a funny story because this happened at our meet. We did our club did a meet back in January at Carter Cave State Park, and I had my red tail out. I've been hunting with the dog. I have Decker Rat Terrier, and she just turned 2. I mean, she's getting real good in the woods now. I mean, learning everything, follows the red tail around, you know, tree squirrels, flushes rabbits, everything. I mean, I'm really happy with that's been the best part of my season so far. But so anyways, we go out squirrel hunting. Basically, at the meet, it was me and a friend of mine who I haven't talked to in probably like 15 years or so. It's a guy I went to church with in Louisville, and we were good friends growing up and stuff. And he just randomly decided to come to the meet, just see what it was all about and stuff. So he had never been around birds, never, you know, knew what it was all about or anything. So it was him, River, my Decker, and then there was Teddy. Teddy's my Australian cattle dog, which he kind of came along too. When I hunt, like now, like through quarantine and stuff, I've just been, you know, hunting at home. I have 15 acres of woods there. That's why I got the red tail, really, just because I can just walk out my door and go hunt in the woods.
It's perfect.
It's been great, yeah. So every time I go, I get River ready, and then Teddy always, you know, he's always wanting to come along. He's learned pretty good. I mean, he knows what the bells mean. He follows the bird. Like if River's, you know, barking up a tree, he'll be sitting there too, like waiting and stuff. Or if the bird's like, you know, engaged, ready to go on a squirrel, like he's ready too. But I don't know. At the meet, it's kind of like when your mom, like, you want to go out and play with your friends, and your mom's like, take your little brother with you, just, you know, because he wants to have fun. And like, so here comes Teddy. Teddy's with me. And basically, he's just following. He heals the whole time. He's a blue healer. So anyways,
I used to have a blue healer also. So
I feel you. No, they're fine. Yeah, he's a good dog. But anyways, so we got on a squirrel chase. Basically the bird ladders up, gets a squirrel to the top of the tree. Squirrel decides to bail. Basically, hits a branch on the way down. Squirrel helicopters down, and my friends are just like, "You've never seen this before." We're just like, you know, awesome, like, you know, loving it. And so this, they did the red tail tries to do that big slam. Basically misses it. So there was a chase on the ground here. The dogs, you know, give chase, see it. Basically, I think Teddy grabbed the squirrel out of nowhere, like, cause I did not expect him to. So he grabs the squirrel, but it was like the red tail and Teddy like were going for it at the same time. So Teddy and the red tail, and then basically the red tail's feet go up around Teddy's muzzle. Teddy lets go of the squirrel, Teddy lets go of the squirrel. Then River grabs the squirrel and kills it and stuff. So my friends were just like watching the whole time.
Is this supposed to happen?
Yeah, no, it's like, is this how it's supposed to be? And I was like, yeah, they're going to catch it, you know, all this stuff. And then just this, you know, chaos happened. So it went from like, I don't know, just like within like 5 seconds, it was like, yes, awesome. Oh crap. Yeah, awesome. My dog caught a squirrel. Like it just, I don't know, it just kind of went, it was just crazy. That was one of the recent times. something kind of funny happened. My friends were just like, "What is going on here? Like, what do you do here with your life?"
Yeah, I mean, anytime you usually bring spectators along or volunteer, or
Well,
whatever,
your bird's never acting how you want to.
you're doomed from the start.
Yeah.
The same thing happened for me when I tried to drone that prairie, at the state picnic thing or whatever a couple years ago or whatever, and it didn't.
What did it do?
Yeah.
Just
No, I mean, basically, it decided to just say, that's cool, whatever, and went off into some trees behind us or whatever, and the parachute ends up coming off of the of the rig, and it floats. Parachute just floats right on over, gets hung up in a tree. A couple of kids climb a tree and go get they walk up about 20 minutes later with my parachute. I was just like, did you guys seriously just climb that tree over there? And then like, yeah, I was just like,
yep.
And you're not dead.
I'm glad you're here. Right. Yeah.
But I mean, it never fails. Nothing ever goes right.
No.
It seems like when you bring people along.
But that's the fun of it. I mean, just the random chaos.
I just laugh. Just like anything else, you just got to laugh it off.
No, and Teddy was fine and stuff. But I mean, I was so glad, that he was finally catching on. I was so proud that he was going to catch the squirrel.
There was my first season. I had a friend of mine from work and bring her daughter over so she could check out the red tail and stuff. And that same day, my sponsor is trying to trap a red tail for himself, and he brings this bird over and wants me to help weigh it, kind of temporarily get it, whatever, so dressed up or whatever, so he can check it out a little bit better. So they're checking this out or whatever. I think that I'm sitting there holding, trying to hold this bird for him or whatever, and I could have swore that he had told me that he had hold of both legs. Yeah, well, he didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there holding my left hand down, and this bird, all of a sudden, I'm just just totally foots the hell out of my left hand.
Yep.
And my friend and her daughter are just watching me, just
I feel weird going out in public now, with all this. Yeah. This is after, my bird got her x-rays the other day. I was trying to grab her Jess, or put her Jess's back in, and she grabbed my hand.
Yeah. I mean, just nothing ever seems to go right when you have people along at least the first time or two or whatever.
No, absolutely not.
So, I mean, that's a funny story then. So what's the most memorable, catch that you've gotten or whatever, as far as, another...
I mean, I don't know. It's just... I think it's those ones that you really have to work for. I mean, it's the one, I don't know, I enjoy going out with people too. I mean, it's one thing, it's very peaceful, and I I call it my church, when I'm, walking in the woods with your bird and stuff. I mean, it's fun, but it's also fun to go out with, with people, especially squirrel hawking and stuff. I mean, no matter how weird your bird's being or whoever's bird's up and stuff, or if you have 20 dogs running around on the ground. But I don't know, it's just those catches, I guess, where you've had kind of a dry spell there for a while. Or when you get your first bird and they get their first one. Or, you have those dry spells, I guess. And then you're finally working for one, playing around with different stuff. And then finally it all just kind of pays off. I remember, one, it was my third red tail I had. Yeah, she caught her first rabbit pretty quick. And it was a real easy catch and stuff. But I really had to work for that second one. It was probably a 2-week drought there, just going out and beating brush and stuff. And really, one day, I finally set it up perfect. I mean, just did this, it was right at dusk, did this big teardrop stoop down, caught the rabbit and stuff. I was in this industrial park. There was, cars driving by and stuff. And I'm just just beating my chest. It was just like it would have been my first catch ever, but it was just kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another funny story. Well, for the first catch, I was out with Jared because I went out to Western Kentucky because I had my chamber, the Harris hawk, and I wanted to get some easy slips on rabbits, to enter her on rabbits,
sure,
kind of thing. So we went to a couple fields out there. It was about 4:00 in the afternoon or so, walking around with the bird. She caught her first cottontail real quick in this one field. I mean, the grass was this high. I don't know how the heck in Western Kentucky you find rabbits in grass 6 inches high, but it's pretty amazing out there. And that was a great place to go enter a bird.
Just the terrain where we're at, man.
Crazy. I mean, and then I tried doing it at home, walking around in these, these other things, fields that look similar. I'm just what the heck am I doing? There's nothing here.
Yeah.
But it was right in front of a daycare. You probably know the field I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So the second we were I didn't drive 3 hours all the way out here to just get one rabbit, go hunt for 20 minutes. Let's do it again. So trade her off. Get her back up. And sure enough, flushed a rabbit. Rabbit runs out of the grass onto the concrete into the cul-de-sac, like right in front of like this woman loading up her 4-year-old into the car, and just like catches it. The rabbit starts screaming and stuff. The director of the daycare is out there. She's just like, what is she? She's like, really? Like, and we just like picked up the bird, and the rabbit just walked away. Just
Yeah, you'll have those moments.
I think Jared was just like, we talked to the guy. We can be here, and just kind of like left. So,
Yeah.
So that's those funny moments. Just when people like, I don't know, just when you have the general public like looking at you like, what the heck are these people doing? Like,
sure,
yeah.
Well, and that's event, and you always end up in at least a few PR situations throughout, a whole season.
Yeah,
and you just hope that they're not. You just hope that they're not PR situations where you're having to like, clean up a situation or
it could have been worse.
Yeah, it could have been way worse for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But well, I mean, I'm glad that it wasn't though.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, man. Well, I mean, is there any other kind of little thoughts or pearls that you might have just just from your I mean, we've been doing this about the same amount of time, right? We kind of talked about this before, like 5, 6, 7 seasons.
It's my 5th season.
Yeah, 5th season. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what have you taken away from it the most, just out of curiosity, just in your short amount of time that you've been doing this?
I don't know. I've never done like something like this rewarding, I guess, for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, to put in, just the amount of time that I've read about this, practice it, just thinking about where I was, like not, having any idea about it, like getting to make your own stuff, like basically creating this whole new world for yourself. And then just to see the successes that you have. I've never done something like that rewarding. Mm-hmm. And that's just been, I don't know, that's just been something that's real special. And then now knowing the only way you can go is up from here, or there's just so much more you can do with it.
There's a lot more down you can have too.
There's downs, but you learn from those downs.
Yeah.
I mean, and it just teaches you. I mean, it just teaches you a lot about life too. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, like things aren't always going to go great one day. I mean, things can be going great for a month. I mean, and then something totally just comes over and sidetracks you, and you're
I get it.
You're back. Yeah. So it's I don't know. It's just been. I think I've always been into art. I've always been into making things. I do woodworking, leather working, all that kind of stuff. So really kind of all, my talents and interests and stuff have kind of fed into this pretty well. And I mean, it's just kind of, and just of course being with the birds and seeing all that kind of, come together has been pretty cool.
Cool.
I mean, yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's always cool to to catch up with buds and stuff. So I appreciate you driving the hour and a half to come and hang out tonight.
Yeah, not far. No, we're at the old stomping grounds here.
Yeah.
Back in Lexington.
Yeah.
Don't come here much, but it's always good to come back.
Yeah, it's an interesting place. Mm-hmm. I've like I said, I've been here several times. I've actually caught some starlings around here. Actually, yeah. It was kind of funny because so a couple years ago, like a few years ago, whenever it was that I was flying the first Kestrel I had. Yeah. I went to a comic convention. They have
Lexington.
The Lexington Comic Con or whatever. Right. I usually I would go to that every year before. They obviously didn't have it last year. But I brought her with me whenever I came one year. And before it opened up, a couple mornings, I drove around and ended up getting a few starlings around like this park that's just down this road and stuff. And it's funny,
it's a great place for that, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, it's definitely got some appeal to it.
Yeah,
So, but
that's cool. The drive down here is beautiful. You just drive through like all the big $1 million thoroughbred farms and stuff.
Oh yeah,
and we just had like a big ice storm here now, so it was like crazy fantasy land driving down through here and stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like I said, I appreciate it, and I mean, we didn't even mention the fact that you're Mr. Prez now for the Kentucky club.
Sure. Yeah.
So it'd be good. Go ahead and talk about that in a little bit, and then we'll call us good.
Okay. So. Cool. Yeah. I don't know. Just one of the other things that's rewarding is just all the people I've met too. I mean, and being just the communication, and I mean there's a lot of mentorship that goes on. I think just between, other people, and just having a state club really kind of gives you those opportunities. I mean, Facebook and social media is one thing, but, getting out with people in the field, seeing, what kind of equipment they're using, what they're doing, how they're, really doing stuff is really how you get out there and learn, I think. So being part of the club and kind of getting to organize that, it's been fun. And I mean, really the only way, I think, we can do a whole lot more with it, and we're kind of got big plans for it and stuff too. So,
well, I think it's cool how the Indiana Kentucky clubs seem to have a pretty good relationship.
I think
also.
so, and they've called me on some stuff, and I've joined your all's club, and we've kind of been in communication. Just I like to see what other clubs are doing. I even set up like a small Facebook group for state club leaders, like a networking group, just kind of seeing what other people can kind of bounce ideas off people. Seeing what Texas is doing and what Kansas is doing, and kind of stuff that we can bring into ours.
That's a good idea.
Kind of thing, yeah. So, pretty much we are kind of we really devoted to 3 things. And one is just creating networking opportunities for people coming into the sport. Like we said, it is hard to get into it for some people. Maybe a little bit easier now than it was, but just, holding events. We do picnics. Just kind of through email correspondence, getting people hooked up with potential sponsors, or just get them out there in the field with kind of get a taste of it, really.
Yeah, well, that's helpful that there's people that are willing to do that. I'm sure not every member of each state is probably as willing to do that.
And we have a lot of members that are really. And they're kind of widespread. Yeah, it's really.
Yeah,
good.
And of course, not saying anything bad about anybody else that wouldn't. There's nothing about this sport that is an obligation. No. It's nobody is obligated to take anybody on as a sponsor or anything like that. So it's always nice whenever you have people, like a group of people in each state that are willing to do that for people,
right?
Just as
we're welcoming.
At least just of an introduction.
We'll show you this is what we do, but at the same time, you got to take these.
Still got to earn
steps.
it.
Yeah, you got to earn it. You got. We're only gonna you can lead a horse to water. You can only do
exactly
a certain amount of stuff. So
yeah.
But we've had really good success with that. I think we had 10 new apprentices this year. Even just from our picnics and stuff, just people kind of showing up. Yeah, we've had, it's been good, and just kind of, finding, sponsors for them and stuff. But really, like I said, we can only take it so far. It's really, for anybody getting into it, it's all up to you. So that, and then, kind of trying to create a good relationship with our regulatory staff at Kentucky Fish and Wildlife. We're in kind of a good position now because there's a new falconry program coordinator with Fish and Wildlife who just got hired. Yeah. Who actually he graduated from EKU. He had my same advisor at EKU and stuff. So we have kind of made that connection with him.
Oh, that's cool.
On that, kind of talking to him and stuff. Our club's done, just kind of trying to get more involved, I guess, in the regulatory process. We want to kind of set up some meetings, just create a good working relationship with them.
Well, the better, anybody that's been in this for any amount of time knows that the better relationship that you have with your state's DNR, the better off you're going to be. It just makes life so much easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think in the past, it's just kind of been like a stern parent on the other side, kind of shaking their finger at us, you better follow the rules kind of thing.
Right.
When this, you can kind of talk to them and realize, talk to them more, on their level, I guess. Excuse me. No, so one thing we've done, kind of with that, and the Indiana guys have helped us out with this too, but petition to extend our duck season. Our falconry duck season by 2 weeks, because usually it's February 1st to the 15th, but I think we want to go through February now. So really, we kind of did a petition through the club members. I typed up a letter just kind of stating why and stuff. Found out the state waterfowl biologist, working with him, so he's going to kind of present that to the commission. So stuff like that, where really we can kind of voice our desires and needs and stuff to kind of help out.
Those things need to be done because, if you don't ever do those kind of things, then nothing's ever going to change.
Right.
If
you don't step up, and it's better coming from a group of people rather than just, one person, I think. Yeah. Yeah. So we've done that. And then also we want to do more, I guess, kind of conservation measures, education type stuff. We got involved with the League of Kentucky Sportsmen, which is kind of this group of, different various, hunting, fishing clubs and stuff that kind of can, have a representative with the Fish and Wildlife Commission at their meetings and stuff to kind of voice their, opinions and desires and stuff. So we've our club, the Kentucky Falconers Association, is now part of League of Kentucky Sportsmen, where, I've met a few of the commissioners and stuff around and, talking to them and just kind of developing good stuff with them.
Well, I mean, just from my personal experience and being a member of the club also is that one thing that I've liked is it seems like you guys are trying to be a lot more transparent than other clubs. I think that really matters a whole lot.
What do you mean, like less exclusive, or?
No, transparent is transparent meaning you're communicating what you're doing to your members.
Yeah, that's important.
I mean, definitely. There's some clubs, I think, or there's probably been clubs in existence. I mean, I can only speak to the ones that I'm members of or whatever, but I mean, like, I know that, in other experiences in my life, just not even falconry or whatever, it's the more transparency that you have in communicating to dues-paying members, that what's going on, what you've been doing and trying to do for them,
you want
for
them to
their
get
money.
something out of it.
Yeah, I mean, like the better relationship I think you're going to have, and the more members you're going to eventually accrue.
Well,
as
and just
well.
show that you're doing something.
Exactly.
And show where their money's going and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that helps a lot. So I mean, I'm just saying that as a member, I appreciate that also. In that it seems like you guys are trying to be like, okay, here's what we're doing now, and this is what your dues are going towards now over here, and the Indiana club's really good with that too. So I mean, that's something that I appreciate just as being a member of any club, that I pay dues towards.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, we hold raffles at all our picnics and meets and stuff, and a lot of that money goes towards it. And we're always willing to listen to our members, like if they want to do something like a education project. Like for instance, my son's Boy Scout troop, or his Cub Scout troop, we built like a bunch of Kestrel
boxes.
Yeah, we built like 9
cool.
Kestrel boxes, and the club donated the funds to buy all the materials. Stuff. The kids built them, and then last week I took them to the new falconry coordinator, who's also going to go install those in wildlife management areas, kind of thing. So it's kind of cool. Yeah, that just kind of helps out. And then like League of Kentucky Sportsmen, they do a lot of youth education days and stuff, and they heard like what I did, and they're like, oh, we would love to have you guys out, just do a a fun talk, anything like that. So they're kind of all over the state, and so are we. So
well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you want to mention real quick before we wrap this up? Or
I don't really think so. No,
I'm hungry, man.
I know. Yeah.
I need another beer, and I'm hungry.
Yeah, it's a good place. Get some good New York style pizza.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That sounds great, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll call this good then. And like I said, man, thanks for making the time tonight and coming down and hanging out.
No, I enjoy this podcast, and I think you guys are doing awesome stuff with it. So.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate it, man. I mean, we just do what we do, and we hope that people get something out of it. And, all that kind of good stuff.
Somebody gets something out of this. Whatever I said.
It's all good, man. All right. Well, let's go grab some of that then.
All right, man.
All right.
Thanks.